host, General Hannibal X. Now, if you're new on this channel here, you're going to be getting my passionate and in-depth analysis on the hottest NBA and college basketball topics. Listen, I'm a ballaholic. I'm absolutely addicted to basketball. Now, just like everybody, I've got my own opinions. But if you like opinions that are backed by facts, go ahead and hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, but also be sure that you hit that bell notification and make sure you turn on all notifications. That way you'll be able to get the updates whenever I drop new videos, which is every Monday and Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hey, fellas, listen. It's Christmas Day. We got basketball all day long. So let's go ahead and jump right into this thing. Listen, if you can hear me in the live chat, let me get a one. Show me a one if you can hear me in the live chat right now. Let's make sure we got this thing all set up and queued up for us. Let's see here. Hope everybody's having a good, happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Christmas, holiday, everything. Let's go ahead and get into this thing, man. All right, let's see. Listen, we done already had a couple of games that have gone on so far, and I'm going to be honest with you, man. It's been some absolute blowouts. Like, I don't know about you, but I want to see some competitive basketball, and I think the game's about to start right now. That's the game we're going to see, where we're going to get some competitive basketball when you start thinking about the Boston Celtics and the Brooklyn Nets. They're about to tip off, so we're going to wrap this thing up. I'm not going to keep you all day because I know you want to get to see the games, so let's go ahead and jump right into this thing. First of all, the first game that we saw today was the New Orleans Pelicans and the Miami Heat. Now, this game started off a little much more competitive than I would have thought it would have been because Miami, they came out looking like they were ready to, put a stamp on the young New Orleans Pelicans. But the Pelicans, man, you got to give them credit with Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson. First of all, that young duo with Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram, man, they're going to be a problem. Those boys are going to be a problem for a long time to come. So I'm looking at this team right here where I think Zion came up there with a 31.14 rebound game, 31 and 14. That's what you want to hear. Then you look at a guy like Brandon Ingram. Brandon Ingram has been consistent since last year. Remember, he made his first All-Star game last year. Came back this game. I think the first game he balled out in the win. In the win they picked up in game one. Came back today in an early game. Though the Miami Heat were able to get the win, a convincing win as a matter of fact, 111-98. Brandon Ingram came up there with 28 solid points. That duo is going to be very good. Now, when it comes to the Miami Heat, unfortunately for the Miami Heat, they suffered an injury to Jimmy Butler. Now, we don't know the significance of that injury, but as of right now, what we do know is that the Miami Heat was able to pick up a much-needed win, but they kind of lost Jimmy Butler. But at the end of the day, listen, when you got this young core that Miami Heat has, you got to give these boys a lot of credit. You got to give these boys a lot of credit because at the end of the day, they're getting better. Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson. Duncan Robinson went out there today and set an tied an NBA Christmas Day record, hitting 7 threes, 21 points, even Goran Dragic. Remember, Goran Dragic during the finals last year had some injuries, issues. He kind of wasn't himself after getting to the finals. But you got to give him credit because he came out there today and had a very good game. What was it, 18 points, 9 assists? So I give Goran Dragic a lot of credit. But at the end of the day, what's going on, fellas, everybody in the live chat? Happy holidays to everybody. Definitely welcome to the Ballaholic channel. Now, listen. For those who are watching this on replay, like I said, I know the game's about to start, Boston and Brooklyn, so we're going to try to keep this thing very sweet, very tight. Like I said, the Miami Heat got a good, much-needed win, but this last game that we just saw, utter blowout. Utter blowout. The Golden State Warriors, you know what? I don't want to overreact. It's not time to overreact to what Golden State's got going on right now because you got to keep in mind this. Steph Curry missed basically all of last season, right? He's just coming back. Then you add on top of that, they don't have Draymond Green. They've got a bunch of young guys. And let's be honest with you. They've had one of the hardest schedules to start the season off where their first 4 games are going to be on the road. And the first 2 that they've already played, both being blowout losses, Brooklyn Nets and then the Milwaukee Bucks. Like, that's rough. That's rough to have to be on the East Coast, being a West Coast team, having to play on the road in this type of situation. But I see some young promise there. James Wiseman is going to be the truth. You do not get that twisted. Wiseman will be the truth. He's got the inside-outside game. He can defend. I mean, the length, the athleticism, as he continues to mature and physically get stronger, his body starts to catch up with the NBA, these men that are out there, he's going to be good. The one issue and the biggest issue that I see with the Golden State Warriors, that perimeter play, man. Now, granted, Steph Curry's not really in midseason mode. He's not really the true Steph Curry yet. But can Kelly Oubre and Wiggins give me something, man? Can I get some consistency from these guys? That's what I need. What they're going to have to get is consistency. That's what Curry was used to with Klay Thompson. He was used to having a running mate on the wing with him that could be that consistent scorer. They're still looking for that. Right now, James Wiseman seems like he's going to be that consistent second option for them. And I'm not saying he can't do that consistently going forward, but that's a lot to ask for a rookie who's going to be playing in the toughest conference against some of the best bigs out there. So we saw today trying to guard Giannis. He got two quick foul trouble. But what I do love is that Steve Kerr, he decided to keep the big man out there after picking up his second foul, which I think is crucial for his psyche. You know, like I say, on a normal game, you don't want one of your best players, after picking up two quick fouls, staying in there and risking a chance to get a third. But I like the concept of keeping him in the game, so at the end of the day, you're not messing with his mindset where he feels like he can't be aggressive, because you want that young fella to be aggressive. So, with that being said, once again, we got 2 blowouts so far out the way, but let's talk about the game that's about to start right now. The Boston Celtics, the Brooklyn Nets, this is the game that pretty much everybody wants to see. And I'm going to tell you, man, we're in for an absolute showdown. Jason Tatum, did you see game 1? Jason Tatum hit the miraculous 3 to beat the Milwaukee Bucks. Tatum's ready. Jason Tatum is ready to take his game to the next level. Silky smooth. And they say he grew to about 6'10". So, listen, I love everything about Jaylen Brown. He looks like he's ready to be a legitimate 1-2 option with Jason Tatum. 1A or 1B, may I even say, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how these guys compete against arguably the second best player in the NBA right now, and Kevin Durant, who he showed in game 1 against the Golden State Warriors. He's back. If there's anybody who questioned if Kevin Durant was healthy or if Kevin Durant was back, put that to bed. Durant, the Durantula, he's back. Kyrie Irving, they play well off each other. And it wasn't just those two. Brooklyn has legitimate depth. If anybody questioned their role players or their depth, put that to bed. When you've got Karis LeVert and Dinwiddie and all of these boys that are coming off their bench, they got a solid 11-man rotation. So it's going to be interesting to see. Now, granted, tonight, once again, Kemba Walker won't be playing for the Celtics. So that's going to be interesting to see how Boston matches up with Kyrie Irving. And honestly, it shouldn't be much question there. Put Marcus Smart on him right from the jump. I would like to see Marcus Smart on Kyrie Irving to see if he can lock him down, because you got to take one of these two guys away if you're Boston. You can't allow Durant, who pretty much they have nobody to guard him. I mean, if they started in game 1, Boston started Tice as well as Thompson. I don't think you're going to be able to necessarily run that lineup this game against Durant. I would like to see them kind of shift and go a little smaller, where you got maybe Jaylen Brown trying to guard. And even if you start the 2 big man lineup, you don't want to stick with that lineup too long, because Durant on the perimeter, neither one of those bigs can guard him. And he starts at that power forward spot. You're going to want to put one of these smaller guys on him. And really, if you put Tice on someone else and let Jaylen Brown guard Durant, who's Tice going to guard on the perimeter? Harris, who's out there running around off screens, hitting threes, Dinwiddie. So that's going to be a kind of a mismatch issue, and I would like to see them go smaller, bring in maybe a Semi Ojeleye, allow him to play more minutes, just kind of mix it up a little bit. But at the end of the day, this is going to be an absolute showdown. My prediction for this, I'm going with the Brooklyn Nets. I think missing Kemba Walker is going to be a big factor for this Boston Celtics team trying to take on Brooklyn. I'm going with the Brooklyn Nets to win this, man. Now, not only do we have that game, but listen, fellas, we got some good matchups in the Western Conference. We got the Lakers. We got the daggone Mavericks. That's coming up for the prime time 8 p.m. matchup. Lakers versus Mavericks. Now, and this one's going to be, we still don't have everybody back fully healthy. Kristaps Porzingis is still going to be out, but the marquee matchup in this is LeBron versus Luca. Just like that. The 2 best players on their team, the 2 guys who led the NBA in triple-doubles last year. This is what you want to see. You want to see how can Luca, because the first game they went out there and played without Kristaps, they battled with Phoenix. They battled. But at the end of the day, it just wasn't enough firepower, and that's going to be the issue. Not only offensively, how do you replicate the production that Kristaps Porzingis normally brings, but then even on the defensive side of the ball, who's guarding Anthony Davis from Dallas? Like, without Kristaps, who's guarding Anthony Davis? That's a question we got to see. From the Lakers standpoint, I love seeing the depth that we saw from them. We saw Schroeder have a big game. We saw Montrezl Harrell have a big game. KCP, Kyle Kuzma, Taylor Horton-Tucker in limited minutes playing well, which I was glad to see him get the opportunity. Marcus Gasol's got to get in shape. He looked bad, to be honest. I'm going to call it as I say. He looked really bad. He's got to get in shape. I think LeBron's got to continue to get in shape. Anthony Davis has got to continue to get in shape because these guys play very limited minutes, which is understandable, but I want to see these guys ratchet it up now. You got the ring ceremony out the way, all the emotion from that. After that first quarter against the Clippers, they were down 20 points. They wound up winning the next 3 quarters, but you can't go into a 20-point hole trying against a legitimate team like the Clippers. So I tip my hat to the Clippers because they came out and did what they were supposed to do. Paul George, Kawhi Leonard did exactly what they were supposed to do. My prediction was wrong. I stand on that. I thought the Lakers were going to win that one. I guess I underestimated how much that ring ceremony and the emotion of that, the celebration of that, would really be on the Lakers, and it really showed. Like I said, they were down 20 points at the end of the first quarter before they tried to make it a game late in the second half. But the final game is going to be the Clippers versus the Denver Nuggets. Now, even though I'm a Laker fan, that game right there is probably the game I'm looking forward to seeing most tonight. The Denver Nuggets and the Clippers, because that was the Western Conference Finals, and you're talking about, that was the semifinals matchup last year. And the Denver Nuggets, as we know, wound up winning going on, but the Clippers got to be ready to get some get back. They got to be ready to get some get back. So it's going to be really interesting to see how does this Clipper team come out and are they going to dominate right from the beginning? Because Jokic is a problem. He had a triple-double in game 1. Michael Porter Jr. is in that starting lineup, and Michael Porter Jr. looked good. I think he put up like 24 points. He played very well. Now, Jamal Murray didn't come to play in game 1. And that's why they struggle. They struggle because Jamal Murray's got to be Jamal Murray. See, regular season Jamal Murray last year was about 18 points a game. He was a solid player. But playoff Jamal Murray went to an all-star level. If Denver Nuggets are going to compete in the Western Conference, they need Jamal Murray to be Bubble Murray. Not regular season Murray, but Bubble Murray. He's got to bring that game. And 9 points in the first game, it's not going to cut it. That's just not going to cut it. So I'm excited to see him tonight because Patrick Beverley's going to be into him. Kawhi Leonard's going to be in him. Paul George, they're going to get into him because he almost embarrassed them last year in that bubble. It was not last year, but a couple months ago in the bubble. So I can't wait to see that matchup. Let me know right now. Go into the comment section below and let me know what matchup are you looking most forward to seeing out of these 3? Boston versus Brooklyn, Lakers versus the Mavs, and the Clippers versus the Nuggets. Which game are you most excited to see? For me, I can't wait. Man, what's the score? Is the game on right now? I got to see if the game is on yet. Just give me 1 second. Let me check. Can anybody give me an update to see what Boston and Brooklyn are doing right now? Have the game started? So we haven't actually started in the Boston-Brooklyn game. Actually, they just started. About 11:30 in so far. Jamel said he's got the Clippers and the Nuggets. I think that's going to be a good one, man. I really do, because I think that game there is going to be an absolute barn burner. So Will Kim says he got Boston versus Brooklyn. I like that one too. Like the chessboard, appreciate it, man. Appreciate that. You got to exercise your mind. You know what I'm saying? Chess is a thinking man's game. So yeah, it's like it's strategic. Let's see. Discord says, I know we haven't seen much of that Brooklyn team, but how well do you think the Lakers will match up against them? Listen, man, I think they match up well because, see, the problem that Brooklyn is going to present for Boston Celtics today and a lot of teams, and we saw them against Golden State, how many guys have an answer for Kevin Durant at the power forward spot? It's not a lot of teams that could do that. The Lakers have somebody, in my opinion. I think Anthony Davis is a guy that at his size, with his length and his defensive acumen, that I think you can put him on Durant. Nobody's going to stop Durant. So even Anthony Davis, even the Giannis's, they're not going to stop Durant, right? But those 2 guys, I think, are the best guys to be able to guard Durant if he's going to play at that power forward spot. So as far as how the Lakers match up with him, I think Anthony Davis is the perfect guy to defend him. And then secondary, you got LeBron James who can switch on in those fourth quarter clutch moments. If there's a switch, you don't mind LeBron and Anthony Davis switching off of them. So I think that's how they will match up with them. And then with Kyrie Irving, they don't really have an answer for Kyrie Irving, but Dennis Schroeder, he's a pesky point guard. He brings energy on the defensive end. If there's switches, you got KCP who can come on and guard him as well. Alex Caruso's not a bad defender. Taylor Horton-Tucker's not a bad defender. So they got small guards that aren't actually bad defenders that I think can make Kyrie Irving work. Once again, Kyrie Irving can't be stopped. Only Irving stops Irving. So, but having multiple guys to throw at superstars is what you need. And I think the Lakers actually match up well with them. Let's see. What if Kemba was there with the Nets win? If Kemba Walker was there with the Nets win, I still think the Nets are a better team. Because think about it. Now, I think adding Kemba Walker would give them a better shot. And even if Boston wins today's game, I still wouldn't pick Boston in a 7-game series over Brooklyn come playoff time. I just don't think that they have enough star power. I think Tatum and Jaylen Brown, I don't know if they've matured enough for that level of play, right? We saw them when they went up against Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, how they just weren't ready to go to that next level, right? And I think Durant, we know he's there. We know Kyrie Irving can play on that level. So it's going to be really interesting, dude. Let's see. Hello, what's going on, man? What's going on with you? Let's see. Will Kim says, what do you think about the Cavs? Isaac Okoro. Okoro, man, I think it's too early to talk about Rookie of the Year. Even though, we obviously good preseason Rookie of the Year predictions, and mine was LaMelo Ball, and I still stand on LaMelo Ball winning it, even though he stunk it up in game 1. And let me say this about that, but now I'll come back to your Cleveland question. Don't criticize these young players too soon. LaMelo Ball went out there, game 1, he didn't even score a point. And my favorite player is Kobe Bryant of all time, right? Remember this, Kobe Bryant's first game of his career, just like LaMelo Ball, he didn't score a point either. He didn't have a bad career from what I remember. Now, I'm not saying LaMelo Ball's Kobe Bryant. Don't get me wrong. What I'm saying is let's not crucify this young man after one regular season game. He got 71 more to go in just his rookie season. So he's got a long career ahead of him if he stays healthy. So I still think he could be good. Now, to answer your question about Cleveland and Okoro, I'm going to be honest with you. From a defensive standpoint, I love Okoro. And I think he will continue to develop. I'm going to tell you something to watch out for Okoro. He could potentially, hear what I'm saying, he could potentially bud like a Kawhi Leonard. Remember how when Kawhi Leonard came into the NBA, he was just strictly known for defense? Then he got into the right system, which is key, got the right development, and he became a better offensive player to where now he's an elite offensive player. I'm not saying Okoro can get to that level offensively, but from a defensive standpoint, Okoro, he has all the tools, the fundamentals that you need to be a legitimate defensive player. So I like his potential there. Andre Drummond, could he be an all-star? Absolutely. Andre Drummond's going to lead the NBA in rebounding, as he's been doing. He's like the Dennis Rodman, Wilt Chamberlain of the 2020 as far as when it comes to rebounding. Strictly rebounding. He dominates the glass, and I don't see anybody out-rebounding him over the course of the season. So could he be an all-star in the East? Absolutely. Absolutely. Thoughts on Harden to Boston? I'm going to be honest with you, man. I don't like that. When you got young, budding stars, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, don't mess with that. Don't mess with that, man. I don't like Boston, the Boston idea. Now, the idea and the team that I heard that I do like, the Portland Trail Blazers. I like that idea of Portland getting Harden because now, even though Dame Lillard and James Harden both need the ball in their hand, I get that. But Portland is one of the teams that was one of my sleeper picks this year, and one of the reasons because of that quality depth that they have. You give up a CJ McCollum and some of that other depth that they have, a Gary Trent, some other pieces that they could throw in there, and you put James Harden, and let's say you're able to keep Harden, Nurkic, and Lillard, whatever else you're putting around that core, to me that becomes the second best team in the Western Conference. I would have them as a lock, basically, barring injury, to make the Western Conference. I like Harden to Portland better than I like Harden to Boston. Let's see. Harden to Golden State. What would Golden State give up to get Harden? Hopefully, I wouldn't even think about getting James Wiseman. I wouldn't give up James Wiseman for Harden. So what would you really give up to get James Harden? I don't know if they really have anything other to do. I don't like that one. Will Kemp says Portland with Harden and Dame would be the best backcourt ever. Hey man, I'm the best backcourt ever. You know what? I can't disagree with that, bro. Like, I mean, honestly, if Harden and Dame Lillard, to me, are both top 10 players in the game, I can't disagree with it. To me, the best backcourt in the game ever is Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. And to me, as great as Klay Thompson is, he's never been a top 10 player. Top 15 for sure. But he's never been an elite top 10 player. He's never shown that he could be the best player on a legitimate team. He's only been with Golden State, so we've never seen him in that role. We know Harden can. We know Lillard can. You put those two together, man, that could be lights out. He said the Rockets aren't making the play. All right, Harley, I think we've talked about this. Don't sleep on the Rockets. If they keep Harden, they're making the playoffs. If they lose Harden, then of course then it's a wrap. But if they keep Harden, I'm telling you, man, they're making the playoffs. Let's see what's going on with this Boston game. Why does Harden want to leave? I think he wants to win, man. Well, you can't blame him. I can't blame him. I mean, think about it. He's been in Houston for how long? They totally remade this team over. They totally remade this team over without even asking him. They got rid of the coach. They got rid of the GM without even asking him his thoughts on that. Like, you're the best player on the team. You at least come and consult me before you make a drastic move like that. So I can't necessarily be mad at him, man. So listen, the Brooklyn-Boston game has started. My prediction for that game, once again, I'm going with Brooklyn. My prediction for the Lakers-Dallas game, I got the Lakers getting their first win of the season. And for the Clipper-Denver game, I'm going to be honest with you. That to me is the game of the night. And my prediction for the Clipper-Denver game tonight at 10 o'clock, the late-night game, I got to go Clippers, man. I got to go with the Clippers. They look good. Ty Lue putting Kawhi Leonard in that triangle offense, getting him moving. There was times where Anthony Davis was trying to guard Kawhi, and they were just running him off screens, putting him in more motion, right? And Davis was having a hard time keeping up, as great of a defender as Davis is. Who's going to guard Kawhi Leonard for Denver? Think about that. Who's going to guard Kawhi Leonard for Denver, man? I don't know. Let's see. So you want the Nuggets? Hey man, listen, I get it. You know, I get it. I don't know, man. Brown and Tatum aren't good enough to win a ring. They should do the Harden trade, in my opinion. You know what, MP? That's a very good point, and I agree with you. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, as they're currently constructed, they're not good enough to win the championship. I agree with you. Boston, to me, is not even a team that I would consider to be a legitimate contender this year. So I agree with you. However, those guys are young. They haven't even hit their prime yet. Tatum and Jaylen Brown have not even hit their prime. And both of them are better defenders. So being big wings and being two-way players, I wouldn't give that up, man. If there was any way they could get James Harden without giving up either one of them, which is not realistic, but if there was any way they could get James Harden, then I would do it. But I don't see Houston taking back anything other than Jason Tatum and or Jaylen Brown. What do I think Jaylen Brown's peak is? I think his peak is an all-star. I think Jaylen Brown could potentially be a consistent 20 to 25 point scorer, a guy who potentially at his peak could even make an all-defensive team one day. I think he has a legitimate two-way game. Which, once again, we're talking about at his peak when he's in the best years of his career. That I think is, I don't see him as a best player on the championship team level, but they've got Jason Tatum who could be that. So I like Boston's potential, but I think they maybe still be about 3 years away. What about Harden to the Sixers? You know what? I've always thought that Harden to the Sixers was a good look. I think it makes sense. You would have to give up Ben Simmons, but you're putting James Harden and Joel Embiid together. To me, other than Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, that's the best duo in the East. And when you look at all the other pieces that are around, I would put Philly over there. Honestly, I have Philly right now over Brooklyn. It may sound crazy, but I have Philly right now. When the playoffs come, I've got Philly knocking the Brooklyn Nets out of the playoffs. Mark that down. Mark that down. But I got Philly knocking them out. Now, listen, fellas, we're going to go ahead and wrap this thing up. Let's take a couple more questions. Do me a favor. Listen, make sure you hit the like button. Let's make sure we get our likes up as much as possible. Share this if you're interested as well as sharing this on your social media. If anybody's new, please go ahead and make sure you subscribe to the channel. But let's get some good questions in. We can wrap this thing up, man. Enjoy this basketball, man. Tobias isn't gonna trade for Harden. Tobias isn't going to trade for Harden. I guess you said Tobias isn't good enough to be traded for Harden, I guess. I don't necessarily understand that. Says the next Boston game will be close. I agree with you. I think it's going to be a close game, man. I do. Caden Williams says, how about them Lakers? Hey, man, listen. The Lakers, I'm going to be honest with you. The Lakers, other than LeBron and Anthony Davis, the Lakers look good. The problem was LeBron, he didn't have his legs. That was clear to see. He didn't have his. He was missing wide open layups. Anthony Davis, I think, him and LeBron probably was still caught up in this ring ceremony, just the emotion of winning this championship. I don't think they really came locked in. I mean, you got to remember, they lost to the Clippers in game 1 of the season last year, and wound up winning championships. So I don't necessarily think they took this game as serious as I'm not necessarily going to say they should have, but as much as we, as fans, probably took it. Because LeBron, I think, only played like 28 minutes. Davis was maybe like 31 minutes. So they played very low minutes in what was a quote-unquote marquee game. So I'm looking forward to seeing them ramp up their playing time, ramp up their intensity, and I think they'll start to get better. But, I mean, I got to call a spade a spade. They didn't look good in game one, those two in particular. Let's see. It says, now they are back to earth and about to lock in and go crazy. I agree with you, man. I think so. Thomas Bastardo says, do you think the Westbrook to Curry comparisons are legitimate in terms of carrying a team by themselves? Okay, see Westbrook, Curry right now. I think that is a very good comparison. Russell Westbrook and OKC, after Durant left, trying to carry them is similar to how Steph Curry is trying to carry this Golden State team. I think it's a very good comparison. And I think Steph Curry is going to see, this is the first time in his career he's going to see just how hard it is and how much weight Russell Westbrook has had to carry and other players before have had to carry, that, people put Curry on that level of as those players. And I think Curry is a legitimate top 5 player in the game. But he's got to step his game, man. I think the first 2 games we've seen, he struggled. I think he had maybe like 20 points in game 1, 19 points a day. He struggled. But that's not the Steph Curry we're going to see midseason for him. Now, they got to win some games, make sure they don't fall too far out of the playoff race. But I think the Golden State Warriors still will be a playoff team, a low seed, but I think they'll get in, especially once you get Draymond Green back. James Wiseman continues to develop. He's looked really good. And I think those wings, Kelly Oubre and Andrew Wiggins, I think they're going to be better as they get more comfortable in their roles. But right now, Golden State, they're not good enough. And it starts with their best player. Curry's got to get better. Wizards will make the playoffs. I agree with you. Says, what do you think of Zion in the Miami game? Listen, Blackie Chan, Zion is, first of all, I am biased because Zion is my favorite player in the NBA today. But he's a beast. Oh, man, he is a beast. Wait until Zion develops a jump shot consistently, a consistent jump shot, but also wait until he gets his man strength. Like, people haven't really thought about that. He's one of the strongest, most physical players in the game yet. He's still a kid. Wait till he gets his man strength. Wait till he hits his prime and the game starts slowing down. Give him another 2 to 3 years. He's going to be a man child. 31 points, 14 rebounds today. I think he had maybe 15 to 10 in game 1. He looks healthy. That second jump is extremely quick. I like him, man. And I think him and Brandon Ingram together, they're going to be a nice duo. I really do. I really do. Yeah, Zion is definitely a monster, man. Do you think Zion will be as dominant as Sean? I don't know who Sean is. I hope you're not saying Shaq. Oh, Shaq. You know what? It's funny. I did a video on that, carry on. I did a video about Zion being the new age Shaq. And not that he's Shaq, not that he's going to, I don't think he's going to necessarily even dominate like Shaq did, but I think in comparison to how Shaq dominated during his era, I think Zion, at his peak, could dominate on that level. Zion is not a center, as we know. He's, but from a freak of nature standpoint, I think he could put up those 30 and 13 type games that Shaq was putting up. I think Zion could average those. I don't see any reason why Zion can't average 28 to 30 points and 11, 12 rebounds. I don't see why he can't put up those kind of Giannis type numbers, those Shaq type numbers. He's only getting better, fellas. That young man's only getting better, and he still only goes left. He doesn't have a consistent jump shot. Right? He's in the game. Sometimes the game's still moving a little too fast for him. But right now, he's getting everything off of just energy, everything off of playing off the ball. They're not even really running a lot of set plays for him. It's really just giving the ball clear out and let him go to work. Wait till they start really getting in some nuances of some plays for him. He's gonna be good, man. He's gonna be really good. He could be better than Shaq if he lowers his fat percentage and works on his jumper. I'm not gonna go that far to say he could be better than Shaq. I mean, Shaq was a 4-time champion, 3-time Finals MVP. I'm not going to go that far, but I think he could definitely have a career that I think he could have a couple of years that could mirror Shaq's peak. Not a whole career that way, but I think we can see a couple of his years that could mirror Shaq's peak. It says, yeah, I mean, Tatum and Brown would never be good enough to win. Not just now. You said never be good enough to win. Well, possibly. I mean, see, that's tough. That's tough, MP, because when you've got two young two-way players, right, and they seem to fit together now, that could grow apart because maybe Jaylen Brown one day wants to be the man. But as long as they stay with this kind of understanding that Tatum's number one or he's 1A, Brown's 1B, they could grow together to be legitimate because they're two-way players. So I'm not, even though they're the Celtics and I'm a Laker fan, I got to take my Laker bias off and I got to recognize talent. They have the talent to be good enough to be a one option and a two option on a championship team. I don't think that's going to be within the next 3 years. But in, let's say 5 years from now, 7 years from now, those guys could be elite. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna count them out yet. Caden Williams says, what are your thoughts on Ja Morant? Ja Morant is a beast. He's an absolute monster. And unfortunately, Memphis is not going to make the playoffs. The West is just too deep. But did you see, what he had like 40, I think it was like 44 points or something like that in game one? Like, he is a combination of like Trae Young with the handle, the rebounding ability, but then also he's got, you know what, I'm not even going to make a comparison. Scratch that. He's just something we've really never seen. His athleticism, mixed with his passing, mixed with his shooting, mixed with his rebounding, like he literally can do it all. He's, you know what he's like? This is probably a good comparison. He's like a baby Westbrook. He's like a baby Westbrook. He just can do everything. But I think he actually, I don't know. I don't necessarily want to say. I'm gonna say it. I think he could be better than Westbrook. I think because he's got a better jump shot. And I think his jump shot will only continue to get better as he develops. That's still one of his weaknesses. But as he continues to develop, that jump shot's only going to get better. I honestly think Ja Morant could potentially be a better version of Russell Westbrook, man. That's that's hard to say. So I think 2011 Derrick Rose. That's what I'm saying. The athleticism it mirrors the Rose, the Westbrook in their primes, man. Like that, it's hard to find a young guy like that. They can have that kind of athleticism, attacking the basket that way, but also be a legit passer to set up others and make them better. You don't find that often. That's why I kind of thought about the Trae Young, because I'm thinking like a more athletic version of Trae Young, because he can pass and he can score and he can do it consistently. I don't know. I like Morant, man. I like it. I do. Is it is a LeBron fan? Nice. I appreciate that. I said, let's see. Harlan says, is it me or does Curry look like he doesn't want to play anymore? No. Harlan, I'm not going to go that far saying Curry doesn't want to play anymore. I think you got to remember this. Curry's coming off of a long layoff. It's a long layoff. And it's hard to just get back into NBA shape and get NBA speed and without playing NBA games. So he's going to take some time or need some more time to really get back to being the Steph Curry that we know. But his jump shot, he hasn't lost the jump shot. The shot's not necessarily falling right now. I think we saw him shoot air balls earlier today. It's not necessarily falling for him, but don't give up on Steph Curry. Of course, he's not. He may not be. I don't want to put that on. He may not be as motivated because he knows this is a championship team. But I hope that's not the case. I'm hoping it is just a layoff because I want to see you play as hard and as motivated as you had a championship team now that you don't. That's what the Russell Westbrooks did. That's what the LeBron James did. So don't shortchange me, Curry. So I'm not going to say that he is doing that, but I'm hoping that he's not. We'll see. Where do you think Golden State ranks in the season of the playoff? I think Golden State is going to be in that 6 to 8 range. I honestly do. Depending on now that I've actually seen them play, I do believe that 8th seed, 7th, 8th is probably more likely than even the 6th is where I initially said they were going to probably be. I think that 7th to 8th is probably more likely. Teams like Utah I think will be better. Teams like the Dallas Mavericks could potentially be better, that's still predicated on Kristaps getting healthy. But once again, Golden State's got to get Draymond Green back. They got to get him back healthy, and they have to stay healthy, and then they got to continue to develop their young talent that's out there. Why am I so big on Philly? Hey man, I've said it before, but Doc Rivers, number one, I think is an upgrade at the coaching position. Adding Seth Curry and Danny Green gives them better shooting. Adding Dwight Howard off the bench gives them a a legitimate rebounder and rim protector when Joel Embiid goes out the game. And I think that Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid are ready to take another step forward, specifically because now they got a better coach. Coaching matters. Coaching can be the difference, right? Coaching could be the difference of really good players becoming great players. And sometimes you have great players that are great before the coach gets there and they're able to take really great players and make them championship level players. But coaching matters. And I think Doc Rivers can get the best out, or if he can't get the best out of them, he can get better out of them, more out of them than what Brett Brown was able to get. So I like Doc Rivers for them, and I think the team that they put around them is better. Like, think about, what's my guy's name? Tyrese Maxey. And a young guy came in with game one, coming off the bench, playing for in place of Matisse Thybulle. He played good. Tyrese Maxey played good. This young Philly team is getting better. They upgraded their roster. That's why I'm so high on them, man. All right, so we're gonna take one more question. Let me get one more really good question. Let's hit the like button, fellas. Let's get one more really good question, and then we're going to wrap this thing up because I want to see this Brooklyn and this Boston game. Right now, we got Brooklyn's up 22-19 at the end of the first. Jason Tatum's willing and Dillon. Oh, offensive foul. All right, let's get a... Okay, question here says, is Karl Anthony Towns a top 15 player? It's a good question. I'm going to have to say no. The talent-wise, he's a top 15 player. But I don't just go off of just your skill set or your talent. I also want to see production, which he gives a lot of production, but I also want to see it in wins. And Karl Towns, what's hurting him, what's keeping him out of that top 15 for me, is his inability to elevate those around him. Like, he puts up ridiculous stats. Talent and skill-wise, he's a unicorn. But I need more. So I put him in the top 20, not top 15. Not yet. But this year, he can do it. There's nothing he can't do on either end of the court. He has to just make other guys around him better. Help make Anthony Edwards better. Help make D'Angelo Russell better. Make these guys, bring them along with you and not just go out there and put up numbers. Like when Jimmy Butler was there playing alongside of him, Jimmy Butler was trying to make him better. And that clash showed that Karl Towns mentally wasn't really ready to go to that level. So Jimmy Butler goes, he makes the players better. I don't think anybody's going to question that. But he clashed with Andrew Wiggins and he clashed with Karl Towns. Well, look at these guys. Look at the success that those two players have had. There hasn't been any. So I think the talent's there. I want to see him get better though, man. All right, last one. We're going to take last one here. Says, who do I think is going to win MVP? Great question. We're going to leave it on. We're going to leave it off on this one. MVP, my prediction has not changed. I've got Anthony Davis, the unibrow. I think he's going to win MVP. And I think I think tonight, game 2, he's going to put his mark on the case for why he should be MVP. I want to see Anthony Davis come out there. Unless this game is a blowout, unless it's an absolute blowout, I honestly want to see Anthony Davis come out there and give me like a 40-20 game. I want him to, because game 1, what did he have in game 1? It was something like, 18 points? Not even 10 rebounds? Like, he wasn't in it. Now, okay, you took the loss. You got your rings. Now let's get in it. There's nobody for Dallas out there that can guard him. No one. I want to see a 40-20 game from Anthony Davis tonight with the win. Unless it's a blowout. And he maybe sits in the fourth quarter or something. But I want to see him dominate. If he does that, I think that's going to be the first game that's going to help him in his race to getting MVP. So that's my prediction. Listen, fellas, I appreciate you all for tuning in. Enjoy your holidays. Thank you all for coming, taking a look at the Journey of a Ballaholic again. Until next time, make sure that y'all stay safe in the streets. General Hannibal X, and I'm out. Peace.